Welcome to Hyphens Haven, the space for multi-hyphenate artists who work on stage and off in front of the camera and behind the scenes. My name is Drea of Dream of Drea, a production company specializing in driving ideas from pages to stages and from your dreams to screens. Today is the very first episode of Hyphens Haven, and I'm excited to shine a light on an artist who is much more accustomed to the light being shined on the talent he directs from behind the camera. If you're a sports enthusiast of any kind, you have seen his work. Not only have you seen his work on ESPN and a little show called Sports Center, but he's worked with a host of other sports networks. Some of the games he's directed includes tennis, soccer, ice hockey, baseball, basketball, NBA playoffs. He has over 23 years in television production experience, 11 years as a game director. So I am so excited again to introduce to you Mr. Adam Bryant III. Hi, Adam. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Drea?
Woo, I am great. This is just a breath of fresh air, for you to be my first person, and you have so much experience, and the audience is going to get to know all of the work and the great things that you're doing. But I'm so grateful that you are taking a chance on me and spending time with me. I know you could be doing other things, but you are with me for a little bit. So with this show, Hyphens Haven, it's a way to get to know artists who work as producers and directors and are actors and screenwriters or whatever the case may be, somewhere in the entertainment industry. Sometimes you don't know these people by name, but you may have seen their work, and they are so needed in the things that we watch and are entertained by. So, Adam, where are you from?
So originally, I was born and raised in South Carolina, Timinsville, South Carolina. I always tell people I grew up on a dirt road in Timinsville. But yeah, so I grew up in South Carolina, went to school in South Carolina, University of South Carolina, graduated from high school in Timinsville, and then went to school at the University of South Carolina right there in Columbia.
So how far is Timinsville from a major city? Because I've never heard of it's Timmins.
If you ever heard of Florence, it's near Florence. It's maybe like 10, 15 minutes away from Florence. It's about an hour from Columbia and maybe like an hour and a half from Myrtle Beach. So it's right in the PD area.
Because it's Black Bike.
I was about to say Black Bikers Weekend, Myrtle Beach, all that. Like I grew up, if people are familiar with like NASCAR, like Dollarton Raceway is literally like 5 minutes away from my house. Never been, but have seen plenty of like people come into town and whatnot for race weekend and stuff. So, but yeah, it's a little small town right in Florence County in the PD area.
Okay. So a little bit about your foundation, as I know that if you have a strong foundation that helps you grow into the person that you are today. So can you tell us about your parents? What are their names? What were their professions?
So both of my parents have passed. I'm named after my dad. He was a junior. I'm the third. I have a teenage son who's the fourth. My mom, like I said, she passed. Mildred, she was a school teacher, and my dad was a truck driver and worked as a clerk at an air conditioning company.
So. Oh wow, teacher! As you all get to know me, I'm currently a school teacher. I teach dramatic arts for elementary school students. So I identify with your mom being a school teacher. So what elementary school did you attend? And was it in school that you played any sports?
So no, not in elementary school. Not organized sports anyway, but I went to a little elementary school called Brockton Elementary. I think it's still there. Yeah, Brockton still there. The high school is not there anymore. It got swallowed by another school in the county. But yeah, I went to Brockton Elementary School. Did not play any organized sports in elementary school, not till I got to middle school. I played 1 year of football in elementary school, or in middle school rather.
In middle school, okay. Was there a particular moment from your middle school years or your elementary school years that was memorable for you?
Um, no, not really. Um, like having a mother that worked in the district, everybody, your eyes is always on you. Like, I was a pretty good student, made honor roll and all that good stuff. But no, most of my standout stuff or stuff that I remember or still carry with me today really didn't start until like high school. High school is when I really came out of my shell.
Okay. And this is where you say in middle school that you had your experience with sports. Was that where you started to get the idea of directing or working in broadcast, or how did that come about?
Um, Kinda like I've always been a big sports fan. So like whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever. And I grew up by myself as an only child. So that lent itself to a lot of creativity. Like when I look back at it now, I think about it because like I had like my own like football league, I had like my own basketball league, like, and I like put schedules together and like use like my GI Joes and play games and stuff. Like, and then as I got into middle school, like I got into video games and stuff, like sports video games, played Madden and all that stuff like that. But being growing up as a only child lends itself to a lot of creativity and just making like your um just entertaining yourself. So like when I look back at it now, like having my own like football league and stuff, and like I remember because my mom worked part-time at a library. And I would, whenever I finished my homework, I would always be in the sports section. So there was like a NFL, they call it the NFL record and fact book. And in those books, it was a book like that thick, but it had diagrams like almost like the seating charts for every stadium in the league. So like I would start like copying or like tracing like the diagrams, or I would like, draw my own stadium diagrams for all my fictitious teams and stuff like that. And the funny thing about that is now today when you go in and you get ready to do like a game, whether it's like football, baseball, basketball, whatever, you use those same kind of charts to kind of make your camera plots, like where your cameras go. And as a kid, I had no idea, like, what I'm saying, that would come back to be, to come back to serve me. So sometimes I think about that and I just smile because it's crazy. Because I can remember my mom being like, "You got all these stadiums and all these drawings, and I'm gonna throw all this shit away. We got all this stuff all over the place, blah blah blah." And I think I told her before she passed, like when I really started doing like major level sports, I think I told her, I was like, "See, like you gave me a hard time about it, but like I use this stuff now as part of my work." So
That is so awesome how those little things can just come into your life when you least expect. Here it is, like, hey, pay
yeah.
attention to me. I'm going to much later in life. So just
Yeah.
play with this for a little bit. So that's so cool that that happened to you in your middle school years. And as you mentioned, high school is where you were brought out of your shell. Was
Yeah.
there a particular moment in high school that was just like, this is a moment that defines you and will later help you transition to life after high school?
The thing was, so like my freshman and sophomore year, I played baseball. I was on the baseball team. We won a state championship, I think, my sophomore year.
Oh, cool. Do you have the
Um, and I wasn't by far anything special. Like, I mean, I was not a starter or whatever at all. But my the assistant baseball coach was also I think it was algebra, and he was a math guy. And I don't think I took algebra, and then what's the calculus? I don't think I took calculus. I tried to avoid that like the plague.
figured?
But anyway, I will never forget. And I often, he's on Facebook, and I often message him like repeatedly about this when something happens. Um, we had, most people could get yearbooks, or you could get like a memory book. So I had a memory book because me being the person that I am, I'm like, I can control my memory book. I can have the people that I want to remember in my memory book. So I didn't get a yearbook, but I'll never forget, he signed my memory book, and God, I wish I could find it. It's like, no, you're a great kid, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You're gonna go far. It's like, don't don't be afraid to get out of your shell. Or was it no, don't get it, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. That's what it was. And every time I end up doing something that I really don't want to do, or something that works out, or I kind of, like bust out a little bit, I always message him. I was like, is this far enough out of my comfort zone? And he'll message me back. So like, that was like the biggest thing I took from 4 years of high school. Like I can see it as clear as day. And like I said, whenever I do something or whatever, like sometimes I'll message him on Facebook and just be like, is this far enough yet? So.
And what's this team's name? I think we should mention his name again.
Coach Buster McDonald.
Coach McDonald. You have surely been influential on Adam's life, and I just lift you up in name. Thank you for being who you are, Coach. So now that you are about to transition out of high school, what came next? You graduated from high school. What is about to happen?
So I graduated from high school, went to Carolina, University of South Carolina. And like coming out of high school, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. Like I knew I was going to major in journalism, and that made it kind of easy for me to choose schools. Because I wanted to go to a school with a good journalism program. I wanted to be away from home, but I also knew like the restraints of how far I could go from home. So, being in Columbia was still kind of close to home, but I'm like away and on my own, so it's good. So I went to the University of South Carolina, started in J school, and until this day, I still say, had I known, I graduated high school in 95, I graduated college in 2000. Had I known any time between 95 and 2000 that all you really needed to do to be successful was have an opinion and a personality and really feel strongly about it, I would have stayed in journalism. But in J school in 1995, we were walking around with the cameras with the separate deck in our best Sunday suits, going to the State House, begging people to talk to us after they talked to the real reporters. So I quickly was like, okay, this ain't it. So I got out of journalism school before I flunked out, went to media arts. But along the way, something really cool happened. I started working as a camera operator at the local CBS affiliate. Like they were, in 96, they were still showing, instead of the 11 o'clock news, they were showing, I think it was either Andy Griffin reruns or Sanford and Son at 11 o'clock, as opposed to doing 11 o'clock news. And then in April of 96, they started at 11 o'clock news, and I went through the yellow pages to find like the phone number of the TV station, because I was just calling TV stations in Columbia out of the blue, like trying to find a job or whatever. Yellow pages. I know a lot of people probably don't even remember what yellow pages are, but in the phone book.
Yep, mail to the house.
Yep. I flipped through the yellow pages, and I got a gig working as a camera operator full time while I was going to school full time on the 11 o'clock news, and it just kind of like kept going from there.
And this is your sophomore year, you say, that you got that job?
Freshman. Second semester in college. I started fall of 95. By April of 96, I was working full time. And if I didn't have the foresight to pull back, I probably would have flunked out of school, because I was working full time and going to school full time. But luckily, the people that I was working for, well, one of my bosses ended up being my professor down the road in one of my classes. But he also graduated from South Carolina, and he kind of understood what was going on. So, they worked with me with my schedule and whatnot. But yeah, I worked there pretty much until my last semester in college. And the only reason why I stopped is because I started working across town at another station, just because they were going to let me direct.
My goodness, you were just keeping a job. I mean, you were living that dream. I mean, I went to Georgia Tech and I was flat out broke. I ain't have no job. And here you are with a full-time job, your second semester of your freshman year. And that just blows my mind. And just kudos to you, sir, for being able to juggle those two things.
Yeah, it's cool, but you know, one of the things like I kind of look back at, and sometimes when I talk to classes or whatever, especially like high school kids or whatever, when I talk to them, you know, I let them know I'm like, yeah, I was working, but I missed a lot of the college experience, like a lot. Like, you know, I mean, of course, I didn't have a dying need to pledge, but that was for other reasons because I'm such an introvert and whatnot. But like just like parties and you know, just the experience of just hanging out and you know, like not like my college life it consisted of okay, I got to go to these classes and then I got to be to work by 4 o'clock.
Mm.
That was like Monday through Friday. And then like on the weekends, I might get to do some stuff, especially like once my cousin ended up going to South Carolina State, you know, I would end up getting to do some stuff. But for the most part, like during the week, it was go to class, go to school. So I feel like I missed a lot of just being a college student.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say to you, sir, as a member of an organization in a Greek lettered organization, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta. I think you should go ahead and just connect with that organization, that fraternity that do not
No,
set up, you don't have
that
to name it or anything, but I believe you should absolutely go forward and let it be known that you're still interested in working and serving your community through that fraternity as well.
yeah, you know, it's funny. And I'm gonna be honest, and I don't know how many people are honest about it. Like personally, I kind of think that ship has sailed. As a college student, I know I would have joined for all the wrong reasons. Like joining the fraternity had zero to do with service and giving back. Like it would have been for girls and parties. Like I knew like 19, 20-year-old Adam would have not joined for those reasons. 45-year-old Adam has so much stuff that he wants to do. Otherwise, I kind of just feel like that ship has sailed in my life. But you're not the first person that has said to me, like, you know, you should think about it again. So I don't know. I don't
It
say
opens up
never about a lot of things.
space, like it really does. That network,
Mm,
consider it. Just consider it. Don't close it out altogether. Okay.
fair
All right.
enough. That's fair.
So after you have transitioned from working that first full-time job, you said that you transitioned to directing at a job that was across town. What was that company? You started with
Uh,
CB. Was that
no, it
CBS?
was an ABC affiliate. It was WOLO, ABC 25. We used to joke about it all the time. WOLO. It it literally was WOLO. Like I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot and I'm still in contact with a lot of the people that I worked with back then, but we all know that was definitely one of the most hot mess experiences. I think I was there from like January till I graduated in May. So yeah, I was only there for like a few months, but it was a hot mess. You know, like when you have a bad take or whatever, like if you're recording something, you know, if you have a bad take, you'll say like, that's a bust, right? Or bust that. We literally would call the shows Bust Live. Like we'd be on there. You never knew what was going to go wrong. Like you just didn't know what was gonna go wrong during the broadcast. So like we literally would be on headset and joking like, all right, it's another episode of Bust Live. so, but yeah, no, those when I look back at it now, those were some good times. Like I said, I learned a lot. I worked with some really cool people that I've either seen again throughout my journey or either keep up with still like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever today.
Okay. So you graduated, that was May of 2000.
Yep.
All right. So now that you have graduated and you are about to leave that ABC affiliate, what was the first major work past college graduation?
Another ABC affiliate, Channel 4 in Charleston, South Carolina. So I went down there and got like, because I went from directing weekends at Wolo to directing the morning news, like the morning and noon broadcasts down there. And I think within a few months, something happened to the 6 and 11 director, in which anytime when you're in like local news, that 6 and 11, at least it used to be, that 6 and 11 o'clock was the top spot. I mean, now you got like 4 and 5 and all this other stuff, but 6 and 11, you wanted to be the director for that. You wanted to be the guy for that. That was where, the I guess recognition or whatever was at. So I did mornings for a while, and then I did 6 and 11 up until I left, I believe. Yeah, I was doing up until I left.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so that was news directing. And
yep.
So you did that for how long?
Jesus. That was 2000 to 03 in Charleston. Yeah, that was 2000 to 03. So I had already, by 2003, I had already been in the business like 7 years.
Right.
Just all together.
Right. Now, is this where you began your journey into that niche of just sports instead of going from news, or how did that transition?
So that transition happened by a freak accident conversation. I was talking to a reporter that was working for us, and he went to the Hispanic version of NABJ. If people aren't familiar, National Association of Black Journalists, I believe it's called, like NABJ. So there's a Hispanic version of that. And he went to the Hispanic version of that, met a recruiter from ESPN, and just like I said, I had never thought about going to ESPN. I always thought you had to know like the Pope or somebody to get a job there or whatnot. And he gave me the card, and I called and I sent the resume, and the next thing I know, I'm flying to Connecticut. First time ever on a plane, flying to Connecticut to go and interview there. And eventually I got the job up there. And when I started there in September of 03, like I was doing like little production jobs and stuff. Like basically I had to start over. Like, even though I was a 6 and 11 o'clock director and had directed all these newscasts and stuff, I basically was like smacked down and had to start like all over again. So I was working in production, doing different production jobs. Then I became an associate director, which up there basically just helps the director with whatever they need. But I was never, I shouldn't say, at that time, I was never the guy. I had to leave to get that associate off of my title. Like I was always the associate director, or like I got some fill-in work or some fill-in spots. Like I would fill in on certain things, but to get that associate off of my title, I had to leave.
You left ESPN and then you went where?
To Boston, and worked at a network called New England Sports Network, NESN. It's a regional sports network, and they basically cover Boston Red Sox baseball, Boston Bruins hockey, some college sports. So I went up there as a show director, what they call a studio director. So like doing all the studio shows, pregame, postgame, and stuff like that. By that point in my career, I knew I wanted to do games, like be a actual game director. So I took that job up there because they let their studio directors direct games. So I had hit it off with the game director. We're still close today. He just finished, God, I want to say like 20 something seasons, maybe even more, of directing Red Sox baseball, which is like a premier job amongst the Major League Baseball teams. And my first day at work, we had already hit it off during the interview. And my first day at work, they were like, well, do you want to go and watch your studio show that you're going to be working on, or do you want to go to the ballpark? And like, it was no question. I was like, I want to go to the ballpark. And at that point in my life, I was doing my studio shows, but it was just me. Like I had no kids at the time yet. So no, I'm sorry. I had my son, but he was back in Georgia. So it was just me up there as we see the hey little lady.
This is my daughter who is popping in. She's like, "Mommy, what's happening?" I have a 6-year-old daughter.
It's all good. Trust me, I totally get it.
Hi, Audie. Let me eat. Okay.
You gotta leave that in. Please leave that in. So,
yeah.
but yeah. So I went. Long story short, I got into directing games because every off day that I had, because I was up there by myself, like every off day I had, if I didn't go like come back to Georgia to see like my son or whatever, I spent at Fenway shadowing him. And like I said, we're still close today. He's like a brother to me. He's like a mentor. Like we talk a lot. Like whenever I got a directing question, like I'll call him or whatnot, and he'll call me, and like we'll bounce back stuff off of each other or whatnot. So but yeah, like I would go to Fenway and just sit behind him. And it was so funny. The very first like time I ever got to direct a game was the middle of a Red Sox game. And so, like the game starts and you get through all of the stuff. And then at the end of the third inning, like I'm sitting back there and I'm watching, but I'm like BSing around like with another member of the crew or whatever. And third inning ends, whatever, they go to break, he takes off the headset. It's like, hey, you got the 4th through the 7th. I'll be back. Excuse me?
What?
Like, he talked to me. So he just like I just sat in, and it's one of those shows that the people that work on it have worked on it forever. So it's really like on autopilot. Like it's kind of hard to mess it up because like even if like you might want something or you might call for something, but the people know like actually what you really mean. So they kind of like help you through it. But yeah, like that was the wildest thing ever. He was just like, all right, I'm going to the bathroom. You got the 4th through the 7th. I'll be back.
Wow. But
that was my introduction to directing games.
Yeah, but by then, I mean, you had so much experience. Your foundation is pretty strong, and you were able to just take on over and keep it moving.
I had a strong foundation in doing like studio and like talk programs and stuff like that. But directing a game is a completely different skill set, especially baseball. Baseball is probably of the major, what I call the major 4 sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Mm-hmm. Baseball is the absolute hardest to direct.
How so?
It's just like, if you think about it, like when you're watching a football game, a baseball or basketball game, everything, the action all goes like this. It's what we call linear. Like it goes left to right. Mm-hmm. Baseball, you got a ball that's hitting the gap. You got a guy coming around the bases, like getting ready to score. Ball comes in, like another guy is getting ready to round and go into second. You got to show the runner scoring. Then you got to show the guy whether he got tagged or he's out. Then you show like the pitcher reacts. You show like the other like guy who threw the ball in. Was the ball like, was it a good throw? Was it a bad throw? Like it's just like it's all over the place.
How many cameras are involved in that? Seems like a lot.
As little as 4. Me personally, what I've done, like I want to say like 12 to 14. When you get to like the World Series, like levels like that, 40, 50 plus. But yeah, for me doing baseball, probably about 12 or 14.
Wow. That is massive number. My daughter. Okay, baby. Give my okay. Give me about 10 more minutes, okay? 10 more minutes. My earrings. Okay. 10 minutes, baby. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay. So can you describe your process of how you work? You answer that. Which of the sports do you prefer to direct?
Now, like, I love directing baseball because it's such a director sport. On the other hand, I don't like directing 4-hour baseball. The last baseball game I did was 5 hours and 47 minutes. Um, so yeah, like if you can get it in under like 3 hours, then we're good. But now it's basketball because I do so much basketball. And I mean, basketball goes anywhere, even like double, like I did a double overtime NBA game like a couple of months ago. And when I looked at the score, the stat sheet, I think the time of the game was still like 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've kind of gotten partial to baseball because it's in that, I mean to basketball because it's in that nice little 2.5 hour window.
Okay. So when you are asked to go and direct a basketball game, what
Mhm.
what are the initial steps that you take before you are ready to enter your workspace? Like, do you
Um,
process?
yeah, like like first you find out your teams, whether it's college or pro. And then depending on the level of the show, like if it's a really big show, you might have like, 9 or 10 cameras. If it's really small, you might have anywhere down to 4. So you talk to what we call an ops manager, operations manager, who kind of like helps manage that. The show level is determined by somebody way above my pay grade. So it just depends on what the level of the show is. So you kind of figure out, and now it's kind of to the point where I've been to so many of these places. Like I've been to every NBA arena. Um, there's still some places in college there's a lot of places in college that I haven't been, but I've been to a lot of the bigger arenas like multiple times. Like I've been to Duke, I've been to Kansas, I've been to North Carolina, like, places like that. So like there's a familiarity when you go to these venues regularly. But and the positions are pretty much determined unless you got like the camera positions are pretty much determined as far as like where the cameras go. So you go through all of that. Like I talked to my producer, um, just kind of see where his head's at, what he's trying to get across, like what the announcers want to get across as far as like the actual play-by-play guy or the analyst. Sometimes we have a reporter. So we just kind of like get into all of that and know what you're getting into. And then once you get there, and then depending on who all is on the crew, as far as like camera operators, technical director, audio, like stuff like that. I usually get those sheets like early on, so I kind of know who's on the crew or whatnot. And once you get the site, you just kind of rock and roll.
Okay. That's pretty solid. And it just to hear that process, because you are the first person I know who works as a director in sports games. And I think that's so cool as to why I wanted to bring your name to light, for people to get to know who you are and your work and the amazing things that you have to offer as a television director. So, as I'm coming towards the segment of really getting to know who you are, I'm going to ask you some questions. They're
Okay.
rapid. You just
Okay.
give first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you these questions, okay?
Okay.
What favorite word?
Favorite word. Oh my God. Non 4-letter word?
Well, no, just your favorite word, period. Like this, I love this word.
I don't know if it's my favorite word, but I say it a lot. Fuck.
There's a lot of power behind that. The energy itself.
I'm sorry.
Because so much can be said on how intentionally say it. It could be
Yeah.
loving, it could be like angry. So yeah, it's a great word, and I feel
Yeah.
you. All right, now, what turns you on?
Pretty women and doing amazing shows.
Okay. What has been your most amazing show to date?
Um, Probably because it's fresh in my mind right now. I did the Christmas Day game, Knicks and 76ers.
Nice.
Anytime you get to work Christmas Day, especially at Madison Square Garden, like on an NBA game. It's
Mm,
really it's pretty special. And I've done it twice. I've done it once for a regional network, and then I did it this past couple days ago for ESPN.
that's so awesome. Now, what makes you laugh the most?
um, Probably any comedy or TV shows that I've seen over and over again.
Like what?
Cosby Show, Martin, um, heavy on those two. Good Times.
Okay. If
Yeah.
you could choose one superpower, what would it be? And if you were a superhero, who would be your arch nemesis?
Mm.
What is your superpower?
One superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Um, be all powerful.
All powerful, just strength. Is that strength of body or mind or both?
Everything.
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 All
If I
power.
want, if I wanted to snap my finger, if I said I want $2 million in cash, and I just snap my fingers, and then $2 million in cash appears, like just all powerful. If somebody is sick or whatever, and I'm just like, they're not sick anymore, and they're not sick anymore. Like, so all powerful.
So would that be someone who would be your arch nemesis?
Uh,
If you are all powerful, who is going to come up against you?
it's probably gonna be controversial, but I'll probably say God and the devil.
Ooh, wow.
If you believe in, some people don't believe in either one, but if you believe in both, then yeah, I could definitely see that it'd probably be a problem.
What a fascinating answer. Yeah, that it's certainly people who are listening. I am like, wow, that's very fascinating. I don't agree or disagree, but that's cool for you to say that. That would be your arch nemesis. All right, next question. What profession would you do if it was not what you're doing now? Is there something else you want to do?
Oh God, stand-up comedy. I've always said if you got a mulligan in life, or if there was like a reset button, stand-up comedy.
Really? Okay. And as we are thinking about other things, I know in our conversation, you are interested in pursuing another angle of directing. Can you tell us about that angle?
Yeah, I've been doing like research and just kind of trying to figure out ways to to get my foot in. Like I would love to direct like entertainment stuff. Like concerts, specifically concerts and like comedy shows. I've talked to several people who work on it and who work on that as well as sports. And to a T, everyone has said like all you need is an opportunity, because like if you can do live sports, you can absolutely do that.
Mm,
And um not disrespect to the directors who are doing those things, but like I've talked to many people who do both, and they're just like, oh my God, you kill it. And I'm just like, okay, well, I won't know until I actually get a chance to try. So I'm trying to knock on the right doors and make the right connections. So hopefully in 2023, I will get the opportunity to do at least one or both.
and I'm going to help that happen in whatever capacity I can with the people that I'm connected to. I'm going to
I
help you.
appreciate that.
And it's also important to note that you are a member of Directors Guild of America, DGA, which is
Yes.
a union for directors. So, I mean, you are there. You
Yeah.
just need an opportunity. And I know that you're going to get it because you are solid in your art. So, yeah, I'm going to do my best to help you get to your dream, because as I'm owner of Dream of Drea, I mean, you can't have a dream without a Drea. So
I like that. I like that. I like that, and I would certainly welcome any help. It was, I had to fight to get into DGA. Like it was really like hard, and from the sports aspect of it, it's not as prestigious as it used to be. Just the way like the business and the models of doing sporting events is going. But on the entertainment side, I think it still, at least from what I can read, it still carries some cachet. So I would like to take advantage of it.
Cool beans. So we have some final thoughts as we are coming to the end of this portion. What did you enjoy most about this conversation we had for this new space for multifaceted artists like yourself?
Just, I mean, the thing that I enjoyed the most is just the realness and the transparency of your daughter interrupting you a couple times. To me, that is just phenomenal. And hopefully, you know, when she gets older, you know, I know you said she was 6, but when she gets older, like she'll realize like the grind and stuff that her mom has been on, you know, not only for her, but for herself and, you know, for other people in the space. So that's number one. And then number two, I mean, I'm just honored. Like I said, I'm really I try to be anyway, just really quiet, unassuming. I kind of keep to myself. And, you know, I'm one of those people, like, I don't go around patting myself on the back, but if you ask me questions, I'll happily answer them or try to help. So it's just really cool to be the first person, you know, on your show. And, you know, once it's grown and you get, you know, 200 episode plus in, you know, to be able to look back and be like, you know, I was the first one. It's pretty cool. It's like one of my favorite wrestlers always used to say, it's like, none of you can be first, but any of you can be next. So
That's a tweetable comment there. So is there a way for people to follow you on any social media networks?
Yeah, so like I'm on Facebook, Adam Bryant the third. I mean, I guess I should probably be like more clandestine on Facebook, but you know. And then on Instagram, I'm at Ironman AB3.
Ironman AB3. All right, people, you can follow him on Instagram, Ironman AB3. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this episode. I hope that you were able to learn something from it. Until next time, I hope that you keep dreaming, and we'll see you soon.